January is more than halfway over, and that can only mean one thing if you're a football fan. It means that the winter transfer window is more than halfway done with. Now that means that the clock really is ticking as far as your favorite clubs adding newer signings to their squads and hopefully having a much better time in the second half of 2023 than they have in the first half until this point. However, with time having elapsed, that hasn't really stopped the rumour mill churning out new players being linked to newer clubs where, to be fair, most before this, there was no real link that was coming up. That being said though, there is in fact a lot of transfer rumours which can be, a little suspicious to say the least, whereas others are more rooted in reality. In case you're worried about having to go through all of the transfer rumours, trying to figure out what's real and what's not, worry not, we at Sports Today have you covered. So without further ado, let's take a look at some of the more credible transfer rumours that are doing the rounds as we speak. The first of which involves Arsenal, currently table toppers, targeting this man Declan Rice. Now, Declan Rice has his future at West Ham United has in fact been the source of major speculation for quite some time because he's pretty much refused to sign a new deal, believing that he should in fact be playing for a Champions League competing club at this point, and Arsenal, currently sitting atop the Premier League table, have reportedly made him their main transfer target for this summer. Obviously, any deal to sign Rice would still involve a lot of money, but given the way Arsenal have been competing in recent times, and of course the fact that they will be flush with more cash come the summers, it does seem likely that a deal of this nature could very well be happening. Speaking of Arsenal, another man that they're being linked to this time in January itself rather than the summer transfer market is Dusan Vlahovic. Now, obviously, you'd be wondering why exactly is it that Vlahovic, who has been doing pretty well for himself at Juventus, want to leave Arsenal? Well, the simple fact is there are reports in the Italian media claiming he hasn't settled at Juventus as well as he would have liked, and that Juventus too would be open to a sale, albeit at a very high rate of about 70 million euros plus. However, Arsenal, who recently unfortunately missed out on Mikhailo Mudryk and was saving such funds for the Ukrainian winger, can actually divert their attention to this man who has proven to be a consistently reliable goal scorer and someone who would provide plenty of competition for the likes of Gabriel Jesus, especially so right now considering the fact that the Brazilian striker is out for a long term. However, that being said, these aren't the only major moves that we're being talking about. Hakim Ziyech, speaking of players who are currently in the London side of things, had a very good FIFA World Cup for Morocco, was part of a team that finished 4th, made it to the semis, but he hasn't been getting that much regular playing time through the last year and a half at Chelsea, and therefore it's only natural that his future would be up for debate. One of the clubs that are open to signing the Moroccan winger is Newcastle United. Now, of course, Newcastle United have plenty of money, and considering the fact that they currently sit in the top 3 of the Premier League, they could very well prove a very attractive project for someone like Ziyech, assuming he wants to leave in January, or better yet, wait for, choose to actually stay out his contract and wait till summer to maybe get better options. We don't really know, but what we do know is that Newcastle United would be tempted to add the Moroccan wizard to their squad. Another Chelsea player being linked with an exit is Raheem Sterling, and this one might seem a bit odd considering the fact that he only signed for the club this summer, but the number of wingers and forwards that Chelsea have been targeting in recent times has led to some degree of speculation that Sterling, who was one of the key signings made in this particular summer, might already be headed for the exit. Now, so far, no clubs have been rumoured to be interested in getting the England international signature, but if he really were up for sale, you could be assured that despite the fact that he's had a very mixed time at Chelsea so far, there would be a lot of clubs more than happy to welcome him into their side with open arms. Whether or not there's that much credibility to this rumour as of now remains to be seen, but the simple fact of the matter is Sterling could very well find himself on the list of players Chelsea want to move on come the summer, despite the fact that he's only been at the club for a season. Another player in London who has in fact been linked with a move rather more credibly in recent times is Brighton and Hove Albion's Leandro Trossard. Now, Trossard recently had a bit of a falling out with manager Roberto De Zerbi and has reportedly even left the UK. So upset was he at the entire situation, and he's being linked to a host of clubs, including both Tottenham Hotspur and Arsenal. Now, obviously, the interest of the club, Brighton, would be that they try and resolve things with him, and De Zerbi has spoken out in public about wanting to bury the hatchet with Trossard, but Trossard's agent has said that a January move would suit all parties best, so it's pretty clear they're angling for a move. Whether or not that happens this summer or this winter or in the summer remains to be seen, but if it was up to Trossard, it would seem likely that he would want to push through a move sooner rather than later. Another player who's interested or who's being linked to one of England's top clubs is Ruben Neves of Wolves. Now, Neves, to be fair, for the past 2-3 seasons has been linked to at least one of England's top clubs, if not more. But this time around, the links are a lot more credible. That's because he's being linked to Liverpool, whose issues in midfields are plain and simple in there for all people to see. Their midfield so far this season has been a real problem, and Neves would actually go a long way in solving those issues, at least to a certain extent. However, would Wolves want to lose their captain and one of their more talismanic players remains to be seen, but if he forces through a move, there's no doubt of the fact that he could very well be that player for Liverpool who could transform the side instantly, because let's face it, their midfield really needs a lot of refurbishment and the current players they have just aren't cutting the mustard. Another player who has been linked a lot to Liverpool in recent times is England international Jude Bellingham. Now, of course, Bellingham is someone who's been lighting things up for Borussia Dortmund, and he continued his very impressive form by actually putting in a brilliant display during the FIFA World Cup for England. However, despite the fact that a lot of clubs have been linked with him, as of now, it seems like it's unlikely that he'll be sold. But that's because, if rumors are to be believed, Borussia Dortmund's hierarchy have met with his parents and the player himself to try and talk about a new contract and to assure him that so far, despite all the rumors, no real bids have been made and they want to keep him in the club for at least a little longer before allowing him his move to one of the bigger sides in Europe, whether that be in England or elsewhere. Now, sticking with moves of clubs who are, looking to actually add to their midfield, Barcelona actually have put in a rather strange request, because they want to trade this man, Frank Kessie, who they only signed this year for a free, for Inter Milan's Marcelo Brozovic. At least that's what media reports in Spain are claiming, because they haven't quite been able to fit Kessie in as much as they would have liked, and they see Brozovic as someone who would instantly improve the side, especially the first team. And truth be told, I don't quite frankly understand the logic of this move, but I haven't understood the logic around a lot of Barcelona's transfers recently, so it does seem likely that this could very well happen, and that you could very well see Kessie, who previously has represented AC Milan, actually rock up on the blue side of Milan for Inter, whereas Brozovic heads to Barcelona. And that's it for this particular edition of the Transfer Rumour Roundup. Thank you all so very much for joining us. Again, if you enjoy what it is that we do over here at Sports Today, you can like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and don't forget to tap the bell icon so you know when we're going live or uploading a new video for you guys. Then you can also go ahead and follow us on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook, and last but not least, download the SportsTech app. Thank you all once again for joining us. As always, I've been Shane Dias. I hope to see you with us through the day, but for now, goodbye.